Well, federal prosecutors in Manhattan reviewing files from the state's anti-corruption commission. This after Governor Cuomo called for it, then shut it down. U.S. Attorney Preet Bharara, he requested the Moreland Commission's, quote, important and unfinished work, end quote, investigating New York's political corruption. And he tells commissioners in a letter that the closing was, quote unquote, premature. Bill, I'm sure Mr. Astorino has something to say about this, but even taking politics out of it, that's something. And I know the AG's office also thought that it was premature closing the Moreland Commission.
Yeah, it's something, and I'm trying, and I want to be measured in the response to it because it could be a serious issue. So I don't want to jump up on it with a lot of hyperbole. But the Moreland Commission from the beginning was a bit of a farce. I mean, the biggest issue, the biggest ethical issue that was occurring in Albany was the sex abuse scandal involving Sheldon Silver. And as soon as Moreland was created, it was he was specifically carved out of its investigatory area, which is just nonsense. I mean, everybody knew that was the elephant in the room in Albany. Moreland was very political, and if people read the Times story today, people in Albany have known this for a long time, but it was reported today that Governor Cuomo and his lieutenants were interfering with the subpoena process and going in there and saying, go after this one, but not this one.
Well, the allegation, Jonathan, was that it was a cudgel for the governor, which was, I've got this now. You guys get in line politically here, or the hammer can come down. Fair or not fair, it did seem a little weird when the budget came out that magically it disappeared.
Very weird. Very weird. But you have to, very weird. There's really no way around it, exactly. But I believe, just based on the track record of the U.S. Attorney, that regardless of whatever the Moreland Commission was doing, the U.S. Attorney was doing what he's been doing now for 5-6 years that he's been here. And he's locked up a lot of guys, and I'm sure he'll continue to investigate and potentially lock up future politicians. So I don't know what it really...
Dom, that says something, right?
The fact that the U.S. Attorney, it's saying that it's basically saying, without saying that he's not happy and he smells something has gone on foul in this process for why the commission was shut down. But the broader question that I have, remember a guy named Alan Hevesy who was our state controller that went to jail? Remember the Albany district attorney that went to court himself to lock Hevesy up? Notice all of a sudden he doesn't have to say anything about Albany corruption.
People forget, I know you know this, everybody at the table is, that the Albany DA is an important player in this process.
That's right.
Because it's his district.
That's
and
right.
People say, what does Albany have to do with it? That's his district.
That's right.
And he has to choose whether to or not to pursue these cases, right?
That's right. And then all of a sudden his name was, I don't mean to distract from where you're going, but he was caught up with the scandal about what the district attorney, of whether or not he was having an affair with a staffer. His name escapes me at the moment. And then all of a sudden, Soros, right. And then all of a sudden, nothing out of Albany. So it's the U.S. attorney wouldn't have to get involved if the Albany district attorney was doing his job.
It's actually one of the great disappointments that I've had as somebody working in politics is seeing, because as a kid you think of law enforcement and you think of these commissions as being above all of it. And as you work in the industry, you see that it's so political and so politicized.
Yeah. We've seen when there is an appointed committee, right, your detectors of what should go up. All right, now, we've got a resignation, that from the state health commissioner in New York. Now, he will take on a new position in California. Word of his departure came on the same day as Republican gubernatorial candidate Rob Astorino called for his resignation. Astorino taking jabs at him for the delay in the hydrofracking study. To that end, are we ever going to find out where the governor's position is on this before the election?
I don't know. If it was up to the governor, then absolutely not, for sure. It'll be up to, I guess, Mr. Astorino to try to make him come out with his position, for sure.
He said that it will not come out before the election.
Yeah.
That, I mean, it's taken...
It's more than a year and a half.
But it's taken the state health department more time to write a report than it took Tolstoy to write War and Peace. I mean, it's extreme.
These are softballs here for Bill.
No, but you have 30 states with both Democrats and Republican governors that have natural gas exploration. President Obama supports it. The Interior Department supports it. The EPA supports it. A lot of work has been into it. It can be done safely, but it's clearly political that they're.
My only thing is, wherever you fall on the issue, and I know there's very passionate positions, we at least should get the report released,
Yes
and we
or no?
should at least get a formal position for the governor, yes or no on it. I don't think that's too much to ask, although don't hold your breath before November. Now, speaking of the governor's race, the governor and the Westchester County Executive Rob Astorino have been taking political jabs at each other, shocking in an election year. But a new Siena poll shows the governor, he's remaining on top. Favorability rating now sitting at 58%, and job performance rating a little below 50%. Both numbers about 2 points lower than they were a month ago. And when it's head-to-head, Bill, it's tough. And you look at the war chest, you look at the party demographics in the state here, you look at how many Republicans look like they'll bite the tongue and get behind the governor on this. Give me a path, especially given the tax positions this governor has had, and even had a lot of Democrats mad at him. They say, Democrat in name only on fiscal positions. Where's the pathway that your guy can actually win in November?
Well, first of all, of the three numbers that were put up on the screen, the middle number is the one to look at, the job approval number, and that's 46%. You could have an enormously popular governor, someone in the 60s, that loses elections. It happens all the time. The job approval is the key one if you can get the person under 50%. There is certainly a path. Most of the vote, about 44 to 50% of the vote in this race will come from upstate New York. Only about 30% will come from the city and the rest from the suburbs, and Rob is the county executive in one of those suburbs. There is a path to do it. The other thing is that the issues we believe are on our side because of New York's status as 50th in job creation, the worst for business, highest in taxes. Like those are very easy things to discuss. Highest corruption in the country, and now we have a problem with the Moreland Commission. Those are facts that he can't get away from.
Give me a couple numbers. How much money do you have to raise to realistically be viable, and where does his name recognition have to be come the fall? Forget November
exactly.
here to have a fighting chance.
Well, first of all, Rob would probably never lead the governor in a poll. To win this race, you don't have to lead in the polls, but you have to have the governor under 50 in that hard re-elect number. So he'll probably never get up there. I assume that Governor Cuomo will have $50 million to spend, plus the money that he's spending, the $150 million taxpayer dollars he's spending on the Startup New York ads with no result. But he's going to have tons of money, probably $50 million. I would say Rob would need somewhere between 10 and 15, somewhere in that range. You don't need to match the incumbent. You need to make a case that the incumbent's
name
failing.
recognition, say September, where does he have to be?
In name ID, he needs to be in September. I would say probably in October, he'd need to be in the 60s, somewhere in there, in name ID 70s. It's about the incumbent. Elections with incumbents are always about the incumbent.
And you can be pro-life and be anti-gay marriage and be elected in New York for statewide office.
Yes, because both issues don't matter in New York anymore. The abortion issue was decided 44 years ago, and the gay marriage issue was decided 2 years ago. So they're both done. I mean, they're off the table.
Well, I've said underestimate, as if people know in the county here, Rob Astorino at your own peril. It's on the statewide level with so many inherited advantages to any incumbent, especially a Democrat, where it's an uphill climb. But thank you so much, Bill, as always. Dominic, Mr. Yedden, thank you very much. All right, everyone, stay with us. When we come back, families forced out, and the lot they lived on has remained vacant here for about 50 years almost. And get this, it's on purpose. New York Times reporter Russ Buettner says it's all a part of a deliberate move by none other than Shelley Silver and Bill Rampo. I spoke with Buettner today about the story he broke, which focuses on how religion, race, ethnicity, and socioeconomic status all played a role in real estate. Oh, and don't forget about politics. We'll have a look at that in the interview right after this.